Some viewers may find this disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Sing a little chorus of the last album or of a song.
The last album? Maybe I'll sing you a little bit of my new Spanish stuff.
Yes.
This is fun. Let me think. Okay. Apresúrate, amor mío, que me pesan las memorias, que el recuerdo y el silencio no confundan nuestras cosas. Apresúrate que el tiempo vuela, que amenaza con la cruel rutina y se quiere llevar los momentos más felices de la vida. Por los dos, por lo que siempre hemos sentido, por todo lo que vivimos, apresúrate, mi amor. That's what I'm gonna. Next time you're gonna sing for me.
Hi my loves, it's Destin Choice and you're watching TROYCETV. So today's video, I wanted to get on here and discuss your favorite singers, artists, and entertainers that virtually couldn't sing for shit. Now let's be honest, many artists can't really sing per se if we compare them to some of the greatest singers to ever live. If we compare them to artists like Tina Marie, Eartha Kitt especially, Dolly Parton, and even Beyonce, who in my personal opinion are the perfect example of what I mean by what a true vocalist and what the standard of what a good vocalist truly is. We haven't had many vocalists in a long time that could really sing their ass off. And I'll be honest, no one is born a great vocalist. You have to truly improve, practice, and understand your vocal range in order to truly be a great singer. But let's be honest, no matter how much training you have, no matter how much training you endure, you either got it or you don't.
But did I what? Ask. Did you, absolutely I think.
Plain and simple. Throughout the past 40 years, it's been pretty obvious that we are going through a shortage of great singers, considering technology has improved, and it's become much easier and easier to deceive the public with auto-tune, mixing, and remastering. We have plenty of great vocalists such as Halle Bailey, Chloe Bailey, Coco Jones, JoJo, BB Rexa, and even Taylor Swift, and even Adele. But thanks to auto-tune and the advancement of technology, being a great vocalist isn't really needed nowadays, and nowadays it isn't really enough. I mean, look at Lizzo. Anytime Lizzo has a new album or a new project coming out, she's always selling her weight. Nowadays, you realistically need a gimmick, publicity stunt, and a TikTok account in order to be a well-established entertainer. I honestly blame the creation of MTV for paving this lane because even though MTV paved the way for the new generation and did some good, MTV plays a vital role on why artists need a gimmick or even an image in order to be successful. For example, male artists have to be masculine, decently attractive, and have a distinct image in order to climb that mainstream ladder and success. And women have to be overtly sexual and aesthetically attractive in order for the public to pay attention to their music, but it wasn't always like that. MTV in the era of music videos is vital for why colorism and pretty privilege still have a grip on the public and the entertainment industry to this day. But that's another video for another day. Music videos meant that artists had to be reasonably attractive and presentable, which could have caused a decline in ticket sales if the public already knew how you looked and thought you was ugly as fuck.
Acts, image, and visual presence is more important than their musical talent.
For that, blame MTV and its growing power to sell records.
When you go to see a Milli Vanilli, you go to see a great operatic, or you go to see Caruso perform, or you go to see something that'll last forever, now you're going to be entertained. So what is entertainment? Entertainment is scenery, costumes, lights, a facade.
An artist who fell victim to not being aesthetically attractive and suffered for it was Missy Elliott, who wrote and produced Raven-Symoné's hit single in 1993, That's What Little Girls Are Made Of. Missy wasn't allowed to be in the music video, as we all know, and they replaced her with a slimmer and more fair-skinned woman in order to take her place in the music video.
Thanks to Missy's guest rap, the song was a surprise hit in 1993, but the success was bittersweet.
They didn't put her in the video, they put a light-skinned, skinny girl in the video. It was her voice, but everybody else saw another face.
Nobody even told me they shot the video. I heard later it was like, you didn't quite fit the image that we were looking for. I was like, oh, they trying to say I'm fat. That's immediately, I'm like, oh, they hating on the big girl.
All in all, image is everything. And we can all thank the 1980s for creating that downfall of vocalists, the music industry, and why your favorite artists aren't selling as much. And of course, your favorite entertainers that couldn't sing for shit, but relied on a machine.
It's the last time you're ever gonna kiss these lips, or ever will deceive these eyes. Believe me when I tell you this.
A good example is Rihanna. Now, personally, I think Rihanna is a good singer. I don't think she's a great singer, but I think she's a good singer. But she's not the most powerful vocalist, hence why she's always getting shit for lip syncing. But let's be honest for a second. Rihanna is more of an entertainer and a great producer than she is a performer or a vocalist. But being gorgeous played a big role in her success. Let's be honest, if Rihanna was built like a fridge, most of us wouldn't even be paying her any mind at all. She can sing and hold her own, it's pretty evident, but she lands pretty flat when it's time for her to sing live.
And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, and you cast the fears aside, and you know you can survive.
And of course, we can't forget about Diddy's on and off again Cassie, who can barely carry a note to save her life, let alone an entire song. Cassie was a magician in the studio, but when given a chance to sing on the spot with no autotune, Cassie was complete garbage whenever you even handed her a mic.
You've been waiting so long, I'm here to answer your call.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I know that I shouldn't have had you waiting at all.
put your hands together for the princess of next selection. Make some noise. Cassie, come on.
Now, one of the greatest examples that most of us know is Jenifer Lopez. Jenifer Lopez benefits from everything I literally just discussed. Jenifer Lopez got her start as a backup dancer for the sketch comedy show In Living Color. But as Jenifer Lopez was climbing that ladder as a dancer, she managed to play Selena in the 1997 biopic. Critics were so amazed at her performance that many people for a second thought that a lot of the clips and the footage from that film was actually Selena. But I find it kind of odd because J-Lo didn't sing not one song in that movie. That film opened a lot of doors for J-Lo, and if it wasn't for that film, I don't think J-Lo would have ever had the opportunity to be a singer at 29 years old. The film opened up J-Lo to more of a mainstream audience, and by 1999, J-Lo was already working on her solo career and released her debut single, If You Had My Love. Unfortunately, J-Lo's voice was heavily auto-tuned, and we all know about J-Lo's ghost singing, how J-Lo barely sang any of her biggest hits or her debut singles.
I wrote a song for her, and I also referenced I'm Real for her, and they left my background vocals on the record.
And people, they say, you know, are you the ghost voice for, have you heard that?
Yes, I heard that. But, I mean, I referenced the record for her, which is, you know, done a lot in the music industry, and they left my background vocals on there, so.
Of course, we can't forget about that time where the music industry did something very shady, where they took a melody that Mariah Carey was already going to sample for her upcoming project and actually gave it to J-Lo. But Mariah Carey famously threw jabs at J-Lo because J-Lo accepted the record.
Mariah, who calls herself Supergirl, says she often sleeps just 3 hours a night. When told Lopez claimed to get 8, Mariah said, quote, "If I had the luxury of not actually having to sing my own songs, I'd do that too."
Certainly, she doesn't have a lot of respect for her as a singer.
Gregoriadis says Mariah's attitude toward Lopez stems from her belief that part of the melody in Jennifer's hit I'm Real comes from Mariah's own song Loverboy. Though the music actually comes from a song recorded in the 70s, Mariah still thinks something's fishy.
This didn't make any sense to her. How did a melody that she had locked down over the summer, last summer, suddenly appear on Jennifer Lopez's album?
J-Lo was pulling a Manili Vanilli, which we all know is a reference from the 1980s. As we all know, the 1980s duo Manili Vanilli got a lot of flack back in the 1980s because they didn't sing any of their hit songs and even won Grammys for it, to the point that when this got out to the public, the Grammys actually revoked the Grammy back, and they got a lot of backlash and their career was virtually over. Now clearly Ashanti couldn't do much to J-Lo, so of course Ashanti pretty much took her L. But this wasn't the first time this happened in the music industry. This has been happening for decades. A great example is roughly around 30 years ago, an artist by the name of Loleatta Holloway, legendary disco icon, got her vocals swept away, snatched away, and sampled without her permission, and it was actually given to an Italian house music group that used her vocals, capitalized off of it, and managed to hit major records and milestones just off of sampling her voice without her permission.
People would sample when they sample my records, but the thing about it is when they don't give me credit. But there was a group called Black Box that sampled one of my Love Sensation. The thing about them is they took it and they changed the name. And they changed the song. They sampled the song so much until it sounded like a new song. But it was still my voice. That stayed #1 more than 2 weeks. This was #1 for 6 weeks. And I sat there and watched the television every day and saw this girl pantomime my song, and she got credit for it.
They even famously used a whole different model who was 22 years old. They used 22-year-old Catherine Quenol, who literally is a French model, as the person lip-syncing her vocals. Loleatta famously sued the European group, and she famously got a settlement that she could not disclose. And I'll give J-Lo her props for this. Jennifer Lopez isn't a terrible singer, but if you were going strictly off of talent, then Jennifer Lopez would not make the cut. And Jennifer Lopez even said in an interview back in 2013 that she felt insecure about her voice because many people were in her ear telling her her voice wasn't good enough. In an interview with Cosmopolitan, Jennifer Lopez once stated, "The biggest insecurity I had was my singing. Even though I had sold over 70 million records, there was this feeling like, I'm not good at this." After being told so many years that you're not as good as this person, it beats away on your insecurities. I mean, you can't sing. Either pick another hobby or suck it up. It's really not that deep. And to be honest with you, J-Lo kind of dug her own grave, and there's a reason why she's not really respected as an artist. And I really find it insane how she was selected to be a judge on American Idol a few years ago. I never genuinely understood why this can be selected to judge talent.
Apresúrate que el tiempo vuela, que amenaza con la cruel rutina.
And just to name an even better example, do y'all remember Jon B? Jon B was a very successful Providence, Rhode Island R&B singer from the 1990s, and most people in the 1990s were obsessed with Jon B, especially black women. Women were obsessed with Jon B all over the world because he was a white boy with soul that could sing his ass off and sang R&B music. Jon B first got popping in the industry at 19 years old, back in 1995, and he was initially discovered by Tracy Edmonds, whom you all know as Babyface's ex-wife. And Babyface initially took him under his wing and polished him to be the great artist he ended up being throughout the 90s because he saw potential in Jon B. And not many white boys were thriving as R&B artists. I mean, there were white boys thriving as rappers, but Jon B was that token white boy that could really sing his ass off. Jon B is most notable for his songs Someone to Love, Pretty Girl, and his classic single that most people know, They Don't Know. But little do most of y'all know, Jon B doesn't even sound that good in real life. Literally, that man is a whole fucking magician in the studio. But if we're being honest, black women and women in general in the 90s mostly drooled over Jon B because he was a pretty boy that sang R&B music. No one even paid attention to the fact that he doesn't even really sing his songs. No one even pays attention to the fact that whenever he gets the opportunity to sing live, he's literally lip syncing 90% of the time. Technology has us all fooled. But I wanted to go down memory lane a little bit more and talk about another artist that most people forgot about. 2003 was a hell of a year not only for world events, but also for music and things that still affect us today. 2003 was also the year that pop legend Michael Jackson got dragged in a lot of legal trouble because he was charged in the year 2003 and taken to trial due to allegations of molestation. Charges that were obviously dropped after 2 years of being dragged on over nothing. 2003 was also the year that Beyonce went solo after she clearly said numerous times that she would never go solo. And 2003 was also the year where we were all introduced to Lumidee, who took over the charts with her classic anthem, Never Leave You. Now, I'll be honest, I initially forgot about Lumidee and that song Uh-Oh until rap superstar Nicki Minaj recently sampled her in her new single, Red Ruby to Sleaze, a couple weeks ago. And Nicki Minaj's new single, Red Ruby to Sleaze, has caused the conversation of Lumidee to resurface back up, especially the conversation of Lumidee being a talentless industry plant who merely made it due to pretty privilege and luck. Lumidee was born on October 13th, 1984. Lumidee is of Puerto Rican descent and she grew up in East Harlem, also known as Spanish Harlem, during the rise of gang violence and before Harlem was the safe, gentrified haven that it is today. Lumidee unfortunately didn't really have her parents in her life. Lumidee's mother was busy running the streets and was barely in her life, and her father was serving a lifelong sentence in prison, and her father would later pass away. She and her 4 siblings were raised by her grandparents. Lumidee began singing and rapping at the age of 12 years old, but Lumidee really took music seriously after graduating high school. After graduating high school, Lumidee collaborated with local neighborhood producer DJ Ted Smooth to record her debut single, Never Leave You, also known as Uh-Oh. At the time, Lumidee was in a toxic relationship and she initially recorded it just for fun because she wanted to give music another chance. Lumidee always had a love for music, but she never thought she was good enough and she would constantly self-sabotage by delaying it. She wrote the song fairly quickly and she immediately ran to the studio to have it produced. And initially, Lumidee actually hated the song.
I mean, you hit the streets real hard with that single, Uh-Oh.
Yeah. Well, basically, like you said, hit the streets real hard with it. So, we went to the streets first, and that's what got us here now with the album coming out and everything, because our intentions wasn't to get a deal off the song. We threw it out there because, it was getting in other DJs' hands already. So we was like, you might as well just throw it out there.
It was like a dub plate.
Exactly.
Out of nowhere, New York City DJs got a hold of it and started playing the record at clubs, which led to radio play, and Lumidee became an overnight success as her single Never Leave You started to take over airways literally within 2 months. And every record label you could think of wanted a piece of her. She later signed with Universal Records, where she released her debut album, Almost Famous, on June 23rd, 2003. Her single peaked at number 3 in the US Hot 100 thanks to her label for pushing the record, and it peaked at number 2 in the UK. Never Leave You was a massive success in the States, and if you grew up in those times, you know that you couldn't go anywhere without hearing that song. But the song became even bigger when Busta Rhymes and Fabulous decided to hop on the remix. But unfortunately, people began side-eyeing Lumidee when it became obvious that her vocals were slightly polished because she obviously couldn't sing for shit.
Records recording artist Lumidee, who is here to sing her smash hit Never Leave You, Uh-Oh.
And sadly, not much has really changed. Unfortunately for Lumidee though, she didn't really maintain her momentum like she should have or could have because she was rushed into the limelight and it was never her goal to begin with to be famous.
It was too much. I'm gonna be honest. For me, the way it happened,
right?
It
was
was
it
like
too fast?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like I definitely wasn't ready for it. But it was a blessing. I had to go with it. Hey, they want this record now. It's like bang.
On top of not being a polished artist and her vocals not sounding good because she's not the best singer, she also fell out with her producer who helped produce her first ever hit record and one of her first ever songs in general due to money and financial discrepancies that he kept trying to swindle her out of.
But we were friends for...
The Nero? What was it?
I believe so, yeah. I believe, it changes people immediately, and it just, it was like, it wasn't a friend, like, he was like, kind of like, I really never really like to talk about him. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, he was kind of like a big brother for me. Okay. Even, you know, before the music thing, he seen me grow up in the neighborhood. Right. So as soon as we got this big, sudden thing, and everybody knows Ted was always a big DJ in the clubs. I mean, for me, I looked at him like that. Right. So I feel like this was like his shot too. Right. It was like, so it was kind of like I felt like it was almost like a battle, like he was battling me, and I'm just like, yo, just like help me. You know, like I'm here, I'm your artist. And it was like a kind of like a,
wow, I didn't know that.
It was weird. It was a weird situation, and a lot of, obviously, people get jerked on their first deals. I did. I was signed to Ted, but it was like, I didn't care. I wanted to keep it moving after that because we did have a friendship, but it just got ugly. It got really ugly because it got to the point like, I just couldn't even ask questions. Like when you don't know how much you make in a show and they have a problem when you ask, well, how much I'm making a show? Oh, you a monster now. You need to know everything. It's like, what? Wow, it's like, listen, that is 100, I don't lie. I will say this in anybody's face, people know.
I mean, fortunately, Lumidee knows that she's not the best singer, and she has admitted in interviews that she knows she's very off-key.
To tell you the truth, I wouldn't have it any other way. It happened the way it did for a reason. It was very innocent, you know, it was very organic, pure, nothing was forced. It was a record that was really rough, raw. You know, people always say it was out of key, it was off key, you know, it was just, it was what it was and it worked, you know? And then everything from there, I've always, you know, in the years to come, I've developed my skill and I've gotten way better. But it was, you know, in front of the world. Like, I've made all my mistakes.
The conversation of Lumidee being a trash singer resurfaced because, as we all know, Nicki Minaj did sample her. And people went on Twitter basically starting a thread on how a lot of us didn't realize that Lumidee really couldn't sing back then. And how it was the biggest finesse of 2003. With one user tweeting, Lumidee really couldn't sing for shit. Biggest finesse of all time.
Used to be on fire. I just couldn't wait to get home.
And don't forget, bitch, Lumidee couldn't even sing. Honestly, here myself, here you are. Bro, they was eating our ass up.
They was tearing our ass.
Then we can't forget about Keely Williams. The infamous Keely Williams will forever go down as the most memorable singer in a multi-platinum girl group. And no matter where you go, who you are, and how much time goes by, Keely Williams always manages to be the top of the conversation, and it's not because of her talent, it's because Keely Williams doesn't really have any talent.
I'm getting a little tired of your broken promises.
Keely Williams is most notable for being a part of the multi-platinum and short-lived girl group 3LW. She was known for being a firecracker with a feisty personality, and she was marketed as the Beyonce of the group, considering she was always in the middle and always doing the lead singing, even though it was always lip syncing. Which is odd, because Notori 9 was also known for being pushed aside constantly, and the light was always shined on Keely and Adrian. Many of us thought that Keely was a decent singer because, again, she was in a multi-platinum girl group, and she was not just in one multi-platinum girl group, she was in 2 multi-platinum girl groups. Keely Williams was only showed favoritism because, again, her sister was her manager. Her sister was a very well-respected and connected industry executive and manager. But most people famously know Keely Williams for her infamous list where she mispronounces promises. But according to Keely Williams, she recently did an interview over 20 years later. She recently came out and admitted that she actually can't even sing.
We know that you don't have a list. Why was the song recorded in that specific way?
So a really long time ago, ancient times, before there was like Pro Tools where you could just auto-tune on the machine, there was a plugin, and it was like in a studio, it's a plug-in box, and it was called an Antares. And this machine, like all new technology, was a little hinky. And when they went to mix my vocals, the Antares corrected the notes, but gave me a lisp. There's no other explanation for it. If you turned the Antares off, I didn't have a lisp, but all my notes were wrong. So they were like, which one's better?
This is your legacy. I mean, how do you feel about it?
I have two separate feelings. Taking myself out of the equation because I don't have a lisp. When people call me names or make fun of it, it doesn't personally affect me because I don't have a lisp. However, people with actual speech impediments, I don't think it's funny to poke fun at that, you know.
Keely Williams also went on a live last summer where she was doing a Q&A, interacting with her fans, and she even admitted that Diddy personally told her team that she couldn't sing. And Diddy even went as far as trying to remove her off of his song.
Who was my favorite producer to work with? I'm thrilled of you. I don't fucking know. We worked with P. Diddy. He tried to pull me off a verse because I can't sing, you know. And he noticed. But my management was like, no, she's going to sing the verse. We paid for the song. So, I guess he's my favorite producer. Diddy said I wouldn't take it personal. Diddy, Canon, Cassie, just abandoned them all. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention, but I just know that, like, I was in the booth and there was drama. That's all I know. Like, literally, I was in the booth trying to struggle through that verse. Okay, rolled up. What? How does it go? Rolled in club like what? I got the DJ. Something unlocked. But I was not singing it the way he wanted it. It was not it for him. What you gonna do? Yeah. No, I mean, I tried, guys. I never professed to be Adele.
Then we can't forget about the infamous Paris Hilton.
Alright, let's try it one more time, practice, and then I'll do it.
Okay.
She sits alone, waiting for suggestions. He's so nervous, avoiding all the questions. There. Let me hear it one more time.
I'll count you in.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Because it's crazy because most of us forgot that Paris Hilton at one point tried to attempt a music career, and a lot of people don't remember that. Paris Hilton was really with the times. Anyone that grew up in the early 2000s know who Paris Hilton is. As we all know, her great-grandfather was Conrad Hilton, the owner of the Hilton Hotel and the Hilton Hospitality Company that specializes in hotels and resorts. But many of us don't realize that Paris Hilton at one point tried to attempt a music career. Now, we all know that Paris Hilton is virtually famous for doing not much and doing the bare minimum. Her nepotism and her being filthy rich due to her heiress ways and her family that's worth billions plays a big role on why she's a major celebrity.
Over here! I don't get it. What does she do? She's super rich. But what does she do? She's totally spoiled and snobby. What does she do?
She's a whore.
Hey everyone! Sorry if I'm a little spent. I did a whole lot of partying last night with a lot of different guys.
She first rose to fame in the late 90s, and she mostly just became known for being a stupid, spoiled brat who literally partied and dated men twice her age and way older than her. And for some reason, the media was obsessed with her, and paparazzis were obsessed with her. She basically was Kim Kardashian before Kim Kardashian was Kim Kardashian. And she even got even more famous because back in 2003, she had her own little talk show with her sister and her own little reality show with her sister. And basically, she capitalized on the fact that she released a sex tape with her celebrity boyfriend at the time. And this was a big deal, and the media would not stop talking to her. She got deals to have fragrances, clothing, released books, documentaries, and even acted. She's even one of the hugest figures in pop culture to the point where so many characters and so many memes are based on her entire image and whole movement. She basically paved the way for the Lori Harveys, the India Loves, and she even paved the way for Kim Kardashian, who famously used to style her and famously used to be her assistant. All in all, she even released a song called The Stars Are Blind back in 2006, and the song was a really big hit. It sold thousands of records worldwide, and she even had a Billboard hit on the Hot 100. Of course, as we all know, she couldn't really sing because when it was time to perform it, she sounded awful. She didn't have much success after that song in 2006, but did I forget to mention that she was once signed to Young Money and Cash Money? And did I also forget to mention that she even had songs with Lil Wayne? And this is the kind of nonsense that MB. Nowadays, things are slightly changing because now it's all a numbers game. And considering labels are going broke, which is another video within itself, hence why a lot of your favorite artists are selling their publishing, which is, again, another video. Many record labels don't really have the capability of making a big star. Because now social media and the algorithm now get to decide who becomes the next big thing or the next big star. Social media has put us in a predicament where now we live in an ADHD society, and one minute people love you and the next minute people are on to the next. Because realistically, when it comes to being in the entertainment industry, ghost singing and technology won't really get you that far. Because again, a lot of these artists lack substance. Because what the Eartha Kitt said, a lot of these people are not artists. They're really just entertainers. One minute people are intrigued by you because you entertain them, and then the next minute they dispose of you if you can't adapt. If you can't keep the public's interest, you're only as valuable as people's attention span, and that just is what it is. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like what I had to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you guys want a part 2, people should let me know. Thank you guys for watching. People should like, comment, subscribe. Join my Patreon if you guys are interested. And yeah, that's that. Troyce out this bitch. Why don't we fall in love? It's so many reasons. It's the only thing that matters to me. It's so many reasons. It takes such a load off to let you know that you're the only one I will ever want to go. 'Cause why can't we fall in love? That's all you get for free. Thanks for watching, y'all. Follow me on Instagram and join my Patreon.